So now we will see math object in JavaScript. So guys, basically the JavaScript math object allows you to perform various mathematical tasks on numbers, and this we are going to check with the help of examples as well. We will see what are the different properties and the methods inside this math object, which is a static object. So guys, unlike other objects, the math object has no constructor and you don't have to initialize any of the variable by using this particular math object. So simply the math object is a static object. All the methods and properties can be used without creating a math object first. So guys, let us understand some of the properties of the math object over here. You can see that we have the e parameter after this math object, which returns the Euler's number. After this we have the pi property as well after this math object, which returns the pi number, and so on. We have the square root of 2, and then we have the square root of the 1 by 2 as well. So these are the different properties of the math object that you can use them directly. So guys, let us understand this with the help of examples in VS Code over here. So simply we are going to create a new JavaScript file. So we have this math object.js file over here. Now guys, what we will do is simply we will provide the console.log statement in this case, and first of all we will provide the math object followed by dot, and you can see that all the properties are listed over here followed by all the methods that we can use. So guys, you can see that the first property is e over here. Let us see what will be the value of this particular e property inside the math object, which represents the Euler number. So let me just provide the node command over here followed by the name of the JavaScript file on the terminal in order to run this particular JavaScript file. So as you can see, this is the constant number, that is the Euler number, that is saved inside this particular e property inside the date object. Similarly, we can have the pi value as well. So simply we will have the math.pi over here. When we run this code once again, so as you can see, we are getting 3.14 and so on. The entire pi number is present in this case inside this particular math object. So guys, what we will do is simply we are going to provide the string literal as well. So we will say Euler's number, it is equal to, and then we will enclose this within the dollar and curly braces over here, that is math.e property this time. So simply we are providing the string over here so that we can recognize that this is the property inside the math object that we are printing. So as you can see, we have Euler's number and the pi number as well. Let me just run this code once again over here. As you can see, Euler number and pi number are getting printed respectively. Now guys, apart from this, there are many other properties that you can practice on your own as a homework for you. Now guys, after this we have some important methods that you are going to use frequently when you are going to work on the project requirements which needs this particular math object to be used. So first of all, we have the round function which returns x rounded to its nearest integer. So guys, basically we are going to provide the decimal number as a parameter to this round function, and we are going to have the integer out of it. So let us understand that as well. So over here simply we are going to provide the console.log statement this time, and let us work on a number over here. So let us say we provide the number, it is equal to 3.85 this time. So guys, simply we will use the string that is round number over here, it is equal to, and then inside the curly braces we will say math dot round function over here. So guys, simply we can use this particular round function which returns a supplied numeric expression rounded to the nearest integer. So let us use this particular round method, and inside the parenthesis we will provide the parameter that is number in this case, which we have assigned the value as 3.85. Let us see what will be the output over here. So as you can see, round number, it is equal to 4. So guys, the nearest integer to this 3.85, it is 4 right now, and that is why we are getting this particular number. What if we provide 3.99? So again the nearest integer, it will be 4. So once again we will get the round number, it is equal to 4. What if we provide the number that is 3.45 over here? What will be the output of the round number? So let us check that as well. So this time we are getting round number, it is equal to 3. That's because the number we have provided is less than 3.5 over here. If we exactly provide 3.5 in this case, let us see what will be the output. So we are getting 4, but what if we provide 3.49 over here, that is just before 3.5. So let us see what will be the output. So over here we are getting round number is equal to 3. So guys, simply this particular round method is helping us in order to get the nearest integer out of the number which is in the form of a decimal number over here. Simply the decimal numbers are getting removed by using this particular method. Apart from this, we have the other two important methods as well, that is ceil and floor as well. Ceil returns the x rounded up to its nearest integer. So this means it is rounding up, that is one number higher to the present integer over here, and after that we have floor which is rounding down to the nearest integer. So guys, let us check that as well. So over here we will first of all provide ceil number, and then we will change the function to math.ceil in this case, and then next we are going to provide the floor number as well. So we will provide math.floor in this case. So let me just save this file now and try running this code once again over here on the terminal. So as you can see, round number is equal to 3. That's because the nearest integer is 3 for this particular 3.49 number, and the ceil number is 4. So guys, simply after removing the decimal, we have the number 3 and 1 is added when we are talking about the ceil number over here. So that is why we are getting the number as 4 in this case, and the floor number, it is equal to 3 after removing the decimal number. What if we provide 3.01 in this case? Let us see what will be the output. So when we run this code once again, you can see that there is no change in the ceil number and the floor number. That's because ceil will always give you one number higher compared to the current integer, and floor will always give you the number after removing all the numbers after the decimal point over here. So guys, in this way the ceil number and the floor number works. Now guys, one very important thing that you can notice, it will only check up to the 15 digits after the decimal number over here. So let us say we have 14 times 0 after the decimal number. So let us provide that as well. So we have 1 0 followed by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we need to remove 1 0. So we will keep it as 14 zeros in this case, after which we have 1, that is the 15th digit after the decimal point. Let us see what will be the output for the ceil and the floor numbers this time. So when we run this code once again over here, as you can see, ceil number, it is equal to 4 and floor number is also equal to 3 this time. There is no change in the output. But what if we provide the 15th number after the digit as 0? Now the 1 has moved to the 16th position over here. So simply the first 15 numbers are 0 this time, and you will notice that there will be a change in this ceil number now. So let me just save this file now and try running this code once again over here on the terminal. So as you can see, ceil number is equal to 3 right now. So guys, in this way it is important to note that the ceil number and the floor number will work only up to the 15 digits after the decimal point, after which the ceil number will not give you the integer that is greater than this particular integer which is present right now in this number variable. Now guys, apart from this, we have something called as trunc method as well, which returns the integer part of x. So let us check that as well. So simply let me just change this number to 3.65 this time, and then we will say trunc number over here, and this time we will use the trunc method inside the math object. So let me just run this code once again over here on the terminal. So as you can see, trunc number, it is equal to 3. After removing the numbers that are present after this particular decimal point, we are left with this particular number, that is 3 over here. Now guys, apart from this, we have some more methods in this case. As you can see, we have the power method, that is POW, which returns the value of x to the power of y. So let us check that as well. So simply we are going to have the console.log statement over here, and we will say 2 raised to 3, it is equal to, simply we can use the math object this time, inside which we have the power method, which is POW, which returns the value of a base expression taken to a specified power. So simply we will provide two numbers, that is 2 followed by comma raised to the number that is 3 over here. So this is nothing but 2 raised to 3, which should be equal to 8 this time. So let me just save this file now and try running this code over here. So as you can see, 2 raised to 3, it is equal to 8. Similarly, you can provide any of the numbers over here inside this particular power method in order to get the result of the power. Apart from this, you can also use the square root, which returns the square root of the number that is provided inside the parenthesis as the parameter. We have the absolute method as well, which returns the absolute, that is the positive value of the x, We also have min and the max methods that can be used in order to find the lowest and the highest value in the list of arguments. So guys, all these three methods, I leave this as a homework for you so that you can practice on your own. Comment in the comment section below what is the output that you get for all these methods based on your inputs that you have provided. So please make sure that you like this video so that it reaches to more people, and subscribe to the channel so that you get the notifications on upcoming videos as well. I'll see you in the next video, in which we are going to talk about generating a random number in JavaScript. So stay tuned.